everyone there. Do we have audio this time? Do we have audio? Double check. I did a recording on my computer using the software, so I know everything my end is working absolutely fine. If there's no audio now, then it must just be YouTube is broken. There is sound. So YouTube just decided to not receive the audio. I didn't change anything. So yes, how exciting. Well, that was a mildly stressful start, wasn't it? But yes, clearly today we're going to be unboxing this box, because when it arrived, I was mildly shocked. I've never seen a printer come in a box quite like this. And I'm pretty sure it's a printer. Like, there's a few things it could be. I'm hoping it's a printer. It's like fairly high chance it's a printer. Hopefully it's not something like super weird. I've not ordered anything super weird, so hopefully it's just a printer, and then that'll be totally normal. If it is what I think it is, it's going to be super, super exciting. We do still have Streamlabs bot in here. It will be a little overactive. I didn't know if any specific moderators that I have are going to join, so we've got that bot. So just be a little bit careful about caps and emotes and stuff like that. I have been sent this. I did not purchase this. So once we get it out of the box, we'll know which company to thank. At the moment, I'm not totally sure. Got a couple of tools. I actually bought this today. I was going to do like a little unboxing, like pre-stream, just to show you this fancy new tool that I got. I mean, it's just more Wearer tools that I've been using before. So hopefully that will help in a couple of circumstances. I think the socket set is going to be useful, but this bit looks pretty neat. So let's not focus too much on that because it's kind of not really important, and I don't think many people really care. We all want to see what's in this box. Now, it's probably not going to be a super fast process. There probably is paperwork with it, but it'll be on the inside, maybe. So, as you can see, well, hopefully you can see, if we put this up here a bit, hopefully you can see these like clips. I've already sort of started trying to get into it, but I don't know how easy this process is really going to be. Because even if you pull the tab up, the whole thing's just still bent over the latch. It feels kind of wrong to use a hammer that when it says precision equipment handled with care on the outside of the box. So I do want to be kind of careful, because whatever's in here, I don't want to damage it. I also don't want to damage myself or anything in the near vicinity. So, ooh, this is sort of working. Unfortunately, I don't have any like really big, beefy pliers, so ooh, it's just really difficult to access at that angle. I don't think this end of the hammer is going to do anything. I'm going to put some safety glasses on before something shoots off into my eye. Let's see if I've mangled the first one. So, I mean, maybe this is going to be... I mean, I do have a Dremel tool. That's going to be last resort because that's going to be really messy. Oh, there we go. Oh, sweet. So that's sort of the way to do it. That one is a little bit mangled. Trouble is, I'm going to have like work hardened it now, so it's just going to make it even more difficult. It's super awkward. I always like to try and use tools in the correct way, but I feel like today is not going to be one of those days. Yeah, claw on the hammer worked for this one. I don't know what the stream latency is like. I'm pretty sure I've covered up my address and stuff on the box, but it's not super easy. I don't have an angle grinder either. I don't really have many like big tools. I only have like small tools. I think that's going to be enough to get over that. I mean, how did we do the first one? The first one that worked. This way, start with that, and then claw hammer. Trying to get it out like there, and then we can get the pliers in. Oh no, still mangled it. Oh yes, yeah. It's sort of getting there, but there's still going to have to be a lot of bending, I think, to get the top off. It just seems such a bizarre box to ship a printer in, doesn't it? This printer may be worth a little bit more than I had originally anticipated. Ooh, that's gone well. Sort of. Yeah, it's this bend at the top. Once it's deformed, it's impossible to get it back. Sort of straight. Oh dear. Right, next one. We're getting there. Ah! How did I manage that? Just slipped. Yeah, the claw hammer doesn't really, it just kind of slides. If I had something to hold the box down, I might be able to force it in, but I don't have enough hands to do that. I do have a Dremel, but because I've got computers and cameras and stuff all around me, I don't really want to risk anything, so we're going the full manual route. I think we're getting there. I think we'll get it off in record timing. Bit of hammering, bit of this, bit of that, and I think we'll be there. So do we try and, I think we should probably take all the sides off. I don't actually have a proper screwdriver. No, not. As I said, all the kind of tools I have are all kind of small tools because you don't need massive screwdrivers. Any other screwdrivers I have are like multi-bit ratchet screwdrivers, which are not very strong. I mean, what on earth was that? Okay. Just some printed boxes, it's fine. Yeah, I only really have small tools for doing small electronics sort of sized things, not massive jobs like this. I'm much more of a finesse than strength sort of person, so I don't generally go for a brute force approach to anything. Right. Question is now, can we remove the lid? It's a negative on that, sir. Yeah. Think we're there. It's nearly there. Right. The strip is the top panel. It's connected to it. Aha! I can see a brand name, so I think I know what it is now. Let's see if we can get the whole lid off though. There we go. Whew. How long did we take? How long have we been streaming for? No idea. 12 minutes. That's probably like 10 minutes of lid opening. Da, 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 da. Well, that's going to be awkward to open, isn't it? So there you can see it's a 3D printer from MingDa. I presume that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, another box inside. So how on earth are we going to get this box out is the question. Because I really don't fancy taking off all these extra panels on the side. Oh man. Oh, by the way, for reference, this thing is also super duper heavy. I suppose if I'd known there was a second box inside, I would have done this like off stream and then just gone with the box. But I didn't. And I'm now very, very warm. So let's see if we can just do everything from this angle now. So we have MingDa to thank for this printer. They have sent it to me in exchange for some video content such as this. But I have no idea. Well, I do know what the printer is actually now. And that's even more reason to be excited. Notice, the machine must be taken out by handling left and right sides or it may deform the frame. Oh no. Take out the toolkit. Before start the machine, please check the videos in SD card to get a better use. The machine must be taken out by handling left and right sides. Well, that means we have to take off the rest of the box. Oh man. Ah, we can tip it out. Of course we can tip it out. Right. Ooh, the poor desk. Ooh, ah. And splinters, my poor hands. I mean, it does say this way up, but... Oh, maybe we can just pull it out sideways. That might be a better idea. Right. That is a box of maximum splinters. So there we go. That's what we're looking at. An MD-16. Don't be fooled by the slightly toy-looking aesthetic. I assure you, from the bits I know so far, this is not a toy, like, at all. I wonder if this actually might be better. Does all the extra little windows are all a bit large? Oh my days! Possibly the most difficult unboxing experience I've ever had. Oh, it is a beast. Well, there's something already different to what I was expecting and what they advertised. So that's interesting. Hopefully you can see some of that in there. And now I have to lift this entire thing out of the box. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen somehow. Man, that weighs a ton. That is one dense printer. Right, and everything's in there. Cool. Another box. Right, I'm now exhausted. So the entire frame is sheet steel, so that's why it's quite heavy, and my room is really, really warm, and I'm exceptionally warm. Apologies if there's like weird wrapping sounds taking this off. It's actually quite a nice red. I don't want to mark the paint. It's this film that you can't cut very easily. Oh, how do we just get it off? It tears, but it doesn't cut. There we go. Nearly, there we go. And the front. Whew. Right, let's get that camera down so you can peek inside a little. Let's see if I can rearrange the lights to get a bit more light over here. Unfortunately, because it's all fully enclosed, not fully enclosed, but enclosed-ish, makes it a lot more difficult to light evenly. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like if you're enjoying the stream. It's weird having a black square that like goes quarter of the screen. We've got no instructions at the moment. Maybe there'll be some in here. Oh, so warm. Right. So this is a thermistor, presumably a bell of the hot end or for the bed. 3D pen filament, so a small amount of filament. A knife, okay. And then I don't think I've ever had. Oh, it's broken. That was not me. It's just broken. Okay, that's kind of unfortunate. I have another knife that's similar to this. It's actually really good, but this one's obviously just broken in my hands. Just not ideal. An entire roll of masking tape that's all like horrible and sticky and crinkly. I think this is to be used on the bed because that bed is just a solid 10mm chunk of aluminium. Oh yes, sorry. Let's see if we can. It's really difficult to get a decent angle. Let's see if we can move it under the camera as well, so you can look at the inside while I'm taking all this other stuffs out the box. PLA filament, not particularly keen on that. Broken knife, that's kind of unfortunate. Some little side cutters, the standard kind of mediocre type. A really bog standard looking brass nozzle with a piece of PTFE tube, European plug, SD card, a MingDa branded 4GB SD card, a couple of pieces of sheet metal that presumably are for the spool holder, check the videos. Apparently there's some videos on the SD card, so let's see if we can. Oh, there's also a little hex key thing. I think we might be opening. Oh, that screw's not in properly. I really don't like putting SD cards just into a computer for some reason. It makes me extremely anxious. Let's see what we get. So we got a couple of different G codes. That's weird. It looks like a configuration G code. A G code that starts in the first 5 lines that says Reprap Prusa I3. Or is that maybe the kinematics thing? System. So there's obviously information for this screen, which is presumably a touch screen. There's a fan tube in PLA and ABS. Directions. Okay, well there's no videos on the card. I know, G codes. Eiffel Tower, Hubba and small vase. Software and user manual. ABS. So they've taken screenshots out of a slicer out of Cura for PLA and ABS. There's a Kira, like EXE. Right, let's see if we can watch this video. What's the chances I can get this set up correctly? If we go and media source, oh no, okay, this is not very easy to watch the video on the stream. What we can do maybe is add a media source directly to the file. So headphone users beware, I'm about to just play a video and I don't know exactly what volume it's going to be, so just brief warning.
Friday night, feeling fine, I'm gonna have a good time. Raise my hands, watch me dance, everything's alright.
So
Driving through, car on cruise, girls right by my side. Feeling free, come with me. It feels like driving in a car with a top down.
Hopefully that volume is a little bit lower. I actually can't hear anything. Okay, so the knife is for the masking tape. It's kind of unfortunate they're using masking tape. Masking tape has not been an optimal surface for years. I don't know how long this video is. Okay, to be honest, I think we've had enough of that. I think that's quite enough, isn't it? That's just, it's all just normal things. There's nothing special. We'll just make up as we go along. I'm going to use my new tool. Yeah, it does need, ooh. I think they were sort of asking for feedback as well, so I'll be mentioning these sorts of things. Not sure what right size is going to be. That looks like it works. So then we need this, sticky this on here, and then sticky this on here. And then switch this. Yeah, it's 170, I believe, is supposed to be the build volume. Interestingly, it does have drag change, which is quite cool for a machine this size. I don't know what the pricing or anything is, though. Also, the thing that I noticed earlier, the lead screw rather, not only is it incredibly greasy, but also in the in the information online, it says it's a ball screw, and they have pictures of it being a ball screw. So it looks like maybe they've changed that to change the price point slightly, and also the grease on it is incredibly thick. I suppose that's not the end of the world. So this was supposed to go back on here. I also don't like these crosshead screws. Much rather hex. So we've got some, presumably these, they're just solid steel. Those are not going to roll particularly well, are they? That's interesting. That's pretty wobbly. So one of them has thumb screws and one of them is actual screws. I don't know why they're different. Right. So presumably they want you to sit the filament on that, but I can't help but feel it would be best just to let it roll in. I was not totally sure what they're intending. I think that, but it's really high friction, that. So what, I don't know. The thumb screws go at the back. I have got the video up. Yeah, this is what I've done. Hopefully the video's got some information about where the filament is sitting as well. So yeah, okay, so on theirs, they have like tiny spools of filament, and they just sit it on this one. So they take it off with the thumb screws, put this through the spool holder, and then sit it in here. But with like a proper size rule of filament. Reel, spool, that's the one. Can't really do that, it's not quite so easy. I do want to have a look at what control board and stuff they've got inside, so I'm just going to do that now. What's on special at AliExpress for 198? This printer. They've marketed it as being silent. Oh. So it's an STM32103ZET6. Can't see what the stepper drivers are. They're all connected to they've got a heatsink bar thing over the top of them. It looks like a totally proprietary main board. I don't think this is going to be very easy to remove. Let's have a go. This screwdriver is really long, kind of wobbly. Not sure that's going to be useful as a screwdriver. Be better as a wrench. Hopefully we can get these screws out. It's very much not square. Oh no, it's sitting on the plug. Okay, it could be that. It's incredibly heavy. Well, that screw just disappeared somewhere. 2, 4, 6. I think there might be a loose screw inside. Oh, that's come off. So there is no UPS, unsurprisingly. It did mark it, it did say it has a UPS. I was doubtful of that. It does in fact not have a UPS. It might have some firmware control for power outage. The crimp terminals are absolutely crushed to death. I don't think they've really used the right crimp tool. So that could have damaged the wires. They seem to have used sort of the right colours, although, yeah, again, not the live and the neutral are plugged in. What? The switch is only switching neutral and not live. Live is just going straight to the power supply. That's not particularly great. The cable management is sort of half decent. Everything's really dusty. How is it so dusty? Something tells me this printer's been sitting around a long time. Cables are all like dirty. Connections seem sort of fine. I can't really see what that. I know. Okay, well I've just caught a glimpse of that and I think that said A49. So if those stepper drivers are A4908, it's also nowhere near silent. The electronics is not like terrible, it's not the worst, it's also not particularly good. The fact that everything looks dirty and grubby and not particularly nice is not great. The power supply is not branded, there's no name brand on the power supply. In fact, there's no name on it at all, so clearly nobody wants to take responsibility for that. There's not even a... I might be able to find the power rating on the side. No, that's just the 110 and 220 volt switch. There's not even a power rating on this power supply. Yeah, AC 240 volts, 5 amps. I don't think so. It does say 160 cube on the back as well. The web page says 170. What on earth is this machine? The fact that it might only be, maybe the A4908 is only for the extruder or something, but let's get it back together and we'll turn it on and hope we don't electrocute anything in the process. Wow, that's totally bent. That foot is totally mangled. How did that fit before? That's bizarre. Let's see if I can bend that back into place a little. Official page. Interesting. I couldn't get to the official page yesterday. I found another page that was listing the same printer. Maybe I've misread model numbers somewhere. Well, let's keep an open mind and see how it does in the actual noise levels once we turn it on. We may be in for a nice surprise of a nice silent machine. I'm not sure exactly how old this design is. When talking to them, they sort of implied it was quite new, but maybe it's new to them and they've purchased a design from someone that's where it's a little older. But then it is a 32-bit board, which I wouldn't expect to be in a old machine. That was very loud. Sorry about that. Painted red to hide the flame. Oh, that's... It looks like there's some corrosion. The screw's corroded, the paint's all flaking. That's not great. That looks like there was corrosion before they painted it and then just kept painting. We just need to have an extra screw, I think, from somewhere. Oh, what? Yeah, these two here. So, oh, goodness me. The hot end doesn't look like anything particularly special. It looks like a fairly standard, very old style hot end. There's not even a... Ow. It was the... I thought I'd put it down, but it was the spool holder and then it slipped. That was painful. Let's... I don't know if we can get a decent angle on it. Can you see in there? Not really. It's all a bit... Let's get these zip ties off. Whoop. That's... Okie dokie. Oh, that's the filament idler tensioner. There's something, there's like glue on the hot end. I wish I had some way to hold this, get camera closer to this. It's not very easy in this configuration. Ah, my finger really hurts. What can we do with the drunken sailor? I'm going to try and detach this camera for a second and see if we can get up a little bit closer. There we go. It's probably a bit wobbly. Hopefully it doesn't cut out. It's not that big, but it is remarkably heavy because the whole frame is 2mm steel. It weighs an absolute ton. So yeah, that's what the hot end arrangement is. It's nice that they got drag chains though. That's kind of surprising. Also good. Yeah, and they've got this printed ABS duct with that fan on it. Right, let's go back. I think I'll probably go with the sample filament that they've provided because I'm not sure any of my spools are actually going to fit. Hopefully this is enough to do whatever sample print they've included. And hopefully it doesn't get all tangled in the process. Okay, let's get it turned on. Where's my power cable? A little bit concerned about even powering this on now, knowing that that mains wiring is not great. It is kind of quiet at the moment. I can't really get to this. I don't know how I'm expected to pull that screen sticker off because it's... There we go. The little tab is stuck behind it. It's a full color LCD. Application. Is that supposed to be application? So you've got filament unload, system, factory default, about. Yep, okay. It says auto leveling, but I don't see any sensor, so it's going to struggle with that, I think. There were more videos. Perhaps I should watch the videos. They made this look really easy in the video, but it's not. Yeah, I keep seeing all these comments. This doesn't look good, does it? Oh. It is kind of quiet, I suppose. Thank you. This doesn't seem as quiet as a TMC 22.0 something would. It also doesn't seem as noisy as an A4988. This is a cumbersome piece of paper. That's right on the very limit. I'm pretty sure that is yellow PLA on the end of the hot end. Okie dokie. That appears to be sort of level-ish. So let's get that SD card back. Hello, Sven Hilzer from Germany. Print? No, hang on, we need to preheat and get some filament in. Application, bed preheat. It's got a whole graph and everything. Interface seems very different to anything I've used before, which is interesting. It doesn't seem like Marlin. It doesn't seem like the MakerBase version. It's just, yes, just totally different. The spatula it comes with to remove prints is just square end, so that's not going to help too much. So hard end should be heating up to 180. There's a worryingly low amount of belt tension on the X. Ooh, that smell, blimey. Oh, probably don't want it touching the bed, that's not ideal. Manual move, Z. See if we can load this filament in. Oh, that's weird. Felt like I was going in. Where's it going? Have we got? There's no like filament actually coming out of the hot end. Oh, I've just hit the power switch by accident. That's not going to help anything. Yeah, his pricing does seem to be a little bit random, doesn't it? Right, let's heat everything up again. Bed preheat to 50. The unload button actually is for loading. Turn that on. Yeah, so that's to actually do an extrusion. I don't know why that's the unload. It could just be nozzle or filament or something. They use those like little spring latches for the belt tension. It's red. Yeah, in real life it looks red. Cameras, the bottom right camera probably is the most accurate color according to my screen. Or maybe even bottom left. It's quite a vibrant red. It's definitely not orange. That power supply is quite noisy. Whatever is controlling the bed heat is also not ideal. It's fluctuating all over the place. And I think the power supply fan is going along with the bed heating, which is why you can hear it turning on and off all the time. I'm also going to guess that the temperature the top surface of the bed has barely even started to heat up yet, and it thinks it's already at 50 degrees. It says 38, so it's like body temperature. It's now up to 55 degrees on the heater. Basically, there's this like little PCB heater thing with the heating traces on the bottom, and that's then bonded to this huge thick piece of aluminium. I wonder if that's ABS or something that they tested it with. The thing with these enclosed printers, it's difficult to actually access the nozzle. Right. Is there anything we need to improve regards angles for the video? This overhead one is still not really looking at anything particular. Oh, almost switched it off again. Hopefully you can see a bit better like that. This one though. Sorry guys, just trying to sort out so you can see something at least, because that's obviously the point. I'm going to take the tripod down a little bit so you can look into the printer. The power supply fan is just all over the place. And there's some funky smell from that hot end. Turn the printer slight. I did see his camera arm. I have nowhere near enough space for that though, unfortunately. I know it's quite space efficient kind of compared to some other systems, but the room I'm in it probably looks quite large on camera, but it's really not. Right. So SD card is in, so hopefully we can print something in PLA. Eiffel Tower, Hubba, or small vase. See, firmware's got settings for 2 hot ends. There definitely isn't 2 hot ends. These sides are so low you can't get your hands in. I wonder if that's deliberate. Sorry, my head's just probably in the way now, isn't it? Right, this feels like it's been a really confusing stream. Does anyone else feel like that? I feel like I've just missed something, but hopefully I haven't. To be honest, you can probably see better than I can what's going on now. Ooh, that's A498. And it's doing a raft for a tiny little print. These screws are terrible. This bed's totally loose. Oh. No, it's not Core XY. It's just, I guess it's, no, it's just, I guess it counts as H-bot, maybe? I think it counts as an H-bot. There's belts on either side here, and then there's one belt across the middle. And then there's like a connecting rod at the back that connects the two sides. And there's one stepper motor that's mounted to the side of the frame down about here, and the other one is mounted on this end of the X carriage. "3D head tutor. I'm making a kind of big Core XY printer combining wood and aluminium. For good looks. Was hoping every review to show the parts and movements. Thank you for the tip." There is no auto bed leveling. Now it's doing a really under extruded layer. Don't think it's filament. I really hope this is not a $1,000 printer, because it's definitely not worth $1,000, that's for sure. It's also not silent. It's nowhere close to silent. Actually, for being A498, it's not as loud as some others. It feels odd that they've included drag chains, but it's a terrible hot end. I reckon, you know what I think? I reckon this is a very expensive 8-year-old machine. That's what I think. It seems to line up. There's like some high-end features that make you think it was designed for an industrial application back when 3D printers were extraordinarily expensive. It would kind of maybe explain why there are listings for something that's very expensive that today wouldn't be. It explains the use of A4988s soldered onto the PCB, the main board, on a main board that is bespoke design. I don't know how old those ARM STM32 processors are though. Or maybe they've just updated a couple of bits on this machine and they're reselling it now as a new design and not set a price or something yet. Anyone else get that impression? It's kind of, it's overbuilt like a printer would have been 8 years ago. But the level of consistency in that performance is not something that I would expect to see nowadays. Seems to think it's 0.3% complete. It's one of those printers maybe that's kind of a good frame that you might want to do some upgrades with, but you also might not want to. I kind of, yeah. It's the thing about rebuilding machines to like modern spec is it takes an unbelievably huge amount of time to do that. And it's just the number of views that I typically get for videos like that just really feel like they're not worth it for me. Which probably means that I'm not going to be doing that. If I had some funding to do it, then I could use more time. Wow, this is loud. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is A4988, isn't it? All the way across. This is loud-ish. I think maybe the fact that everything seems to be mounted quite rigidly stops it from being too loud, but it is still rather loud. We're on 114 viewers, so don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying it. You don't have to want to buy one, don't worry. I think I've got like grease in my eyes. I might just go wash my hands because I think I've got grease on them somewhere. So you guys can watch this and I shall be back in a moment. I shall get the decibel meter out and stuff when I get back. Give me 2 seconds. Hopefully that audio connects back in properly. Let me know if there's no sound. Should be fine. The decibelometer. The decibel, where's my decibelometer? Here it is. Wonderful, thank you for letting me know. They match. So 60 decibels is pretty loud. It's about what you'd expect for a machine that's 8 years old. I don't know that this is, it just seems like it is. The design choices seem out of date. I missed a screw. I missed 2 screws. I think this screwdriver is going to be better in its kind of wrench format. You can like rotate the head like this, which is pretty neat, I think. Hopefully it'll prove useful because it was rather expensive. I'm sure I'll get good use out of it. I don't know who calls this a vase mode, but my version of vase mode is not a solid block of plastic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what the link that I found said 40 decibels. When I tried to get to the website earlier, it just didn't work. Here we go. Right, let's see if I can get it on. So just so I'm not misrepresenting what they provided, that would be unfair. Let's should be able to view Google Chrome, hopefully. So hopefully you can see that. This is the MingDa 3D website with loads of social links apparently. So this is their desktop MingDa MD-16, 160 by 160 cube. High quality metal 3D printer, suitable for personal hobby, personal, home and education use, apparently. Receiver equipment, pointer noise is lower than 40 decibels. Well, that's not the experience that I've had, certainly. I mean, can you imagine trying to work next to this racket? I'm not sure I can manage that. Metal frame 2 millimeters thick. I mean, it certainly seems to be a metal frame because there's corrosion in this corner. Save energy LED light design inside. Okay, that's weird, but there is an LED. It's really bright. 3.5-inch color touchscreen. Yes, correct. Also included. Like a cell phone, easy to operate. It is actually. No, it's not like a cell phone because it's not capacitive. It's resistive. So you have to apply force. High precision stepper motor, strictly control the motor precision. MingDa powered 3D printer accurate. Well, they're just standard stepper motors as far as I can see. A stepper motor is a stepper motor. They might be specific for this printer, but they don't look anything particularly different. Patented nozzle. No block and no drawing by using MingDa best-selling ABS filament. Right. No, presumably they're saying no blockage and no stringing. true. Touchscreens from 8 years ago, probably. Or even longer. That would have been longer. 10, 12 years ago even. My first touchscreen phone came with a little pen and it was the worst. Aluminium heated bed, 6mm thick, flat bed. Okay, well it's thicker than 6mm, isn't it? That's absolutely hugely thicker. MingDa metal education 3D printer. Machine makes sure printing stability and accuracy. Small size design. And then available in different colours. I'm pretty sure that's not a patented nozzle. It just looks like any bog standard block. There isn't a big heat sink, which is odd, which means something further up is probably getting remarkably hot. I mean, there's a filter, a dust filter on this fan. Like, that's not something you do on like super cheap printers nowadays. So it's got to have been from something that was designed for thousands of hours of use, but maybe never quite made it. Is there anything else? Parameter image. 13 kilos, that seems about right. MingDa branded stepper motors. Aluminium bed. 350 watts, so that's probably what the power supply is. Up to 275. Well, it looks to me like a... Judging by the size of the throat that's going down to the heat block, it looks like it's PTFE lined. But I'd have to disassemble to confirm that, so at the moment I guess we'd have to take their word for it. But I can't see that being particularly effective because it's so thick. Applications, okay. Also, the other thing that makes it look like an older machine is that they're talking about PLA and ABS. Like 8 years ago, that's what everyone was printing, PLA, and everyone was like, oh, PLA's weak, so for my industrial application, I need ABS. So everyone was either printing PLA or ABS, which is why it says all of that in this material, because it seems to be printed from that time period. That's my theory anyway, and I think that's fairly reasonable personally. I think the no block means as in no blockages rather than no heat block, because clearly there is a heater block. They have poor priority judgment skills, but colour touchscreen, but leave out the auto bed leveling. No, I mean, some people don't like auto bed leveling, so I wouldn't necessarily say that's completely poor priority. Arguably, when the bed's this thick, you should just be able to level it and it will stay like that. It should be pretty flat and shouldn't change significantly over time, so I wouldn't say... In my opinion, the lack of auto bed leveling is not what's destroying this printer's potential popularity. That sounds quite strong words, destroying potential popularity, but for mine, that's not a reason that I wouldn't buy this machine. If it was everything else but had auto bed leveling, that wouldn't necessarily change my opinion on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could make it block. I mean, this is not a very exciting print either, is it? It's just a basic... It's a vase that has no vase mode. It's just a circle. Got two perimeters. I wonder what that version of Cura was. I wouldn't be surprised if that's an 8-year-old version of Cura as well. See, as there's plenty of people watching, feel free to like the video if you're enjoying it. We do these streams like this, normally on a Sunday evening, but this box looked interesting, so I wanted to get it out. And then normal videos go up on Wednesday afternoons. That's about 5 PM British Summer Time. So yes, subscribe if you feel like you want to. Yeah, guys, the SD card is in the printer at the moment, so I can't check that at the moment. Yeah, if it was still in the computer, I would check, but it's not. It's what's printing this file. And for some reason, it's only 14% done. So judging by the length of that and the height of this, it's going to be a full volume print, which I'm not sure I want to wait for. Depending on how entertaining this print becomes, we might just stop it anyway, because I don't think we're going to learn a whole lot from it. It's not particularly exciting or detailed. I was hoping the vase mode would just go and we'd be sorted, but not the case. I wonder how many people from MingDa are watching. It's always an interesting thought, isn't it? Yeah, pricing for this machine is all over the place because we think, well, I'm working on the assumption that it's a very old printer that's maybe had some recent rehashing for consumer markets, but I think it was 8 years ago designed for a desktop printer for offices and stuff. Like there's some things on there that make it look sort of industrial, but the technology involved is not very new. Can anyone see how many dislikes we've got? Maybe that's a representation. Because normally these streams, people don't dislike a stream while I'm sitting here. So if there's lots of dislikes, that might be indicative. Only 47 likes so far, so let's get some more likes if we can. There's 120 people here. 5 dislikes, that's not so bad. On the previous stream, before this one, when we had the audio issue, there were 2 dislikes like an hour before it started. I guess people dislike that. They know it's going to happen, but they can't watch it now because a lot of people, I guess, go onto YouTube and want to watch something. So when you see a notification or you're like a box that's like live mystery box thing, they're like, oh, I want to watch that. And then it's live in 2 hours time and they're like, oh, that's annoying. I'm going on the assumption that that's why people would dislike it. Up to 61 likes. Let's keep going. I reckon we can make it to like 90. The sound problem was just my microphone. YouTube just didn't accept the stream data for some reason. So we had to reboot the stream. Everything my end, I didn't change at all. How does this print think it's going to take so long? 1/5 of the way through. It's just going to be a vase that does like waves of the way up. This is separate XY motors. So there's one motor here that's doing the Y motion back and forwards. And there's one motor on this end of this axis sitting under here that's doing this direction here. But these 2 belts along each side are connected at the back, a bit like you'd see on an Ultimaker, although nothing else about it is Ultimaker-like. This reminds me a lot of the Monoprice MP400 thing, actually. That was another steel box with designs similar to this. What I will say is the size of these rods at the back are huge. I don't want to measure them because there's grease all over them. They're absolutely smothered in it. And I don't really want grease all over my calipers. But they look bigger than 10mm to me. They look maybe 12mm or more. They're huge. But the rest of the bed is fairly rigid, I suppose. Print quality is actually looking quite good. Have you tinkered with the Robin Nano board? Oh, what was Robin Nano? MKS Maker Base board, isn't it? It rings a bell. Isn't the Robin Nano one of the LCD? I forget the name of their products, honestly. I've tried a couple of Maker Base things. They seemed workable. They weren't bad, but neither were they like groundbreaking amazing. Is it really a 6mm thick bed? That seems like it would take a while to warm up. Yeah, Ross, when we were heating the bed, it's actually way thicker than 6. It's like 10mm thick. I probably can actually measure that because it doesn't require much precision. What do we want to use? Yep, the bed is 10mm thick aluminium. But the heater is a puny little thin thing on the bottom with the heat traces on the bottom. The heat traces face downwards, so you've got like heat traces, main PCB, glue, aluminium bed that's 10mm thick. And all of that kind of stack means, well, you're losing half your heat out the bottom, but the PCB heater and thermistor was like, oh, the bed is 54 degrees when it was supposed to be 50. And the top of the bed, when I measured it, was, that's why I had the thermal probe out, was at 38 degrees. So, I mean, it'll stay very stable once it's up to temperature. But I don't know how much they pay for a big, thick bed like that. But something thinner with a more powerful or something that can dissipate heat into the aluminium much better would probably be a significant improvement on the heating performance. And there's no real strain relief on the cable, it just kind of dangles out the bottom. But it does use this massive chunky, like... Did anyone spot this connector out the bottom? Look at that. That is like... It's got threaded connection and everything. That connector means business. If that's the right terminology to use. Hmm. 2016, so that's 4 years ago. Different screen and hot end. What hot end was it, James? Was that like an older style hot end or a newer one? Because this one seems like the kind of hot end you'd have seen 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But I feel like they would have updated the control board partly. Because it has that STM32. I can't get around why anyone would have used that. Well, not why anyone would have used it, but people didn't seem to use those 8 years ago, I don't think. Just noticed the handle comes off, rotates. I guess that's how you get the batteries in. Massive pulley on the motor. Massive pulley on the motor. I'm not super sure what you're talking about. The bend only moves up and down, usually slowly, so cable relief is not a big issue. I would still like to see some support. Okay, it's not going to be as bad as the bed that's constantly moving X and Y. Yeah, I would agree with that, because the overall distance move will be significantly less, but I still feel like something a little bit more than just the solder connections would be desirable. Yeah, there's many things according to their website that are not correct according to the printer. They also say 40 decibels of noise, and I've just measured nearer to 60. You'd have to be quite a long way away before it gets down to 40. Good night, Antonio. Thank you for joining us. Is that good night hello or good night goodbye? Just never know. Good day is like hello, but good night is normally goodbye. But if you're just joining in the night, you would still maybe say good night. Right, I think this print's gone on quite long enough. We don't need to see this any longer. Do we? J-head style. Yeah, this one looks kind of like Mark 8. What's J-head? Oh yeah, that's a yeah. I'm not very good with the older hot end names. We already looked at what's inside Ghost of Henry. We looked at the we did a little bit of inside at the top, and we did inside the base. We looked at all of that. That was not particularly exciting, to be quite honest. Two people that have missed the inside. Were you people not here earlier? I suppose we could have a look again, but I guess we could take apart the extruder assembly maybe and have a closer look. I don't think we're going to find a lot. What do people want to do? Do you want to... I mean, yeah, we did already look at the inside. You can probably scroll back. The stream's still less than 2 hours long, I think. By 20 minutes. So, yeah, you can, if you want to go back, maybe, I think, probably 15, 20 minutes in. Or maybe it was like half an hour. We did take the bottom off. We looked at all the electronics and power in there. So, if you want to check that out, I would recommend doing that. I don't think there's anything else particularly that people would want to see. We've done all the usual sort of stuff. Obviously, the assembly process was quick. All we had to do was the filament holder. Not the best filament holder ever, but it is a filament holder. Bit of a shame about the overall noise. Despite the rudimentary hot end, it does seem to be printing actually quite well. And the use of drag chains is kind of promising. I would hope that we can get some good longevity out of the cables before anything gets damaged. I don't know what it's going to be like to get spare parts and that sort of thing for a printer that is potentially quite old, but if they're still supporting it, then that would be great. It was still MingDa branded 4 years ago. Blimey. Oh, they just look big on the screen. They're all NEMA 17s. I mean, I guess that's good. They're not. There's not like weird stepper motors, like tiny, like NEMA 14s or whatever the tiny little ones are. I think I'm going to stop the print. What else do we normally look at? I feel just like because the assembly went so quickly, the whole process has just gone a lot quicker than normal. I do kind of have a bit of a headache now, which I didn't before. I'm not sure why that would be. Does everybody else have any other comments or questions or anything like that? We've got a few minutes. The filament might run out before it gets to the top, but I don't think it will. There seems to be a much larger delay than I had intended on this stream. It's supposed to be ultra low latency, but maybe when we switched it didn't. No, it does say ultra low. Live latency 4.74 seconds. I think your neighbours will complain if you continue printing. The number of printers I've had running out overnight and had no complaints makes me think that that probably wouldn't be a problem. I mean, when the first wave of the pandemic was hitting and I was printing the face shields, the printers were going like 24/7 for weeks then. Nobody complained. So hopefully I'm not irritating them and they're not complaining. It would be a very British thing to do, not complaining. Just being passive aggressive for a while. I feel like my job is sort of done here. The printer is now just sort of doing its thing. I know what. Seeing as we're gonna, so I'm thinking we stop the print, but instead of just stopping it, we'll try a simulated power outage just by pulling the plug out. Yes, we're continuing with Caribou on Sunday. Yep, that's still planning to go ahead unless I get ill or something in the meantime. But yeah, that's all planning to go ahead on Sunday, just as per the normal. All that stuff behind me. Very much looking forward to getting that one finished, which may not be this week still. It takes quite a long time. So yeah, I'm just going to pull the power out the back. I'm guessing not much is going to happen. Like, this is not a great way necessarily to simulate power outage, but I don't have really many other methods that are going to feel significantly different, and I don't think we're going to learn a whole lot more. So let's. Well, it's a lot quieter now, that's for sure. MingDa. Yeah, I don't think there's any indication of. No, there's no power outage resumed. This looks kind of like a shot glass now. Okay, and the rafter just kind of stayed behind. Of course, they've gone for really, really super fine layers. Quite good though, actually. Let's see if I can put this down on the desk and you can look at it for a few moments. Down, 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 down. Maybe not that far down. Maybe stand it up on something. Good night, 3D Head Shooter. Thanks for another tip again. It's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And the raft. Let's get this filament out while it's still relatively warm, just in case we do want to pull anything apart. See, there's just a filter on the fan. Like, that's just... Oh, there's also Loba's lubricant. Okay, that's not doing much. I don't know where to start when pulling this apart, to be quite honest. Not sure I really want to. Looks like we are. Oh, it's all in the wrong way around, that's why. That's kind of weird. That belt is very close to the hot end, isn't it? I hadn't noticed quite how close that was. The screw goes right the way through the middle of that. So that kind of blocks quite a lot of the airflow quite significantly. These screws are kind of loose already. That looks like they've just overcome the heat ether with just a massive block of aluminium. Can you see? You can see a little bit. Average. I mean, there does seem to be some weird colour inconsistency. I'm not sure if that's thickness or what. I thought that quality was pretty good. I'm going to take the power out now before I electrocute myself. That fan just goes to nothing. What the hell? I don't know how easily you can see that from above. But this is just a solid block. There's a fan, but there's no heatsink. It's also a piece of just metallic shard in there. I think this is aluminium, but I'm really not sure. Yeah, that's questionable, really. Why you would have a fan that just doesn't go to a heatsink. It's just a solid block of aluminium. Right, I think I'm kind of done now. Do we want to take a look at the heat block? It's going to be... let's give you a closer look at this weird thing that I just found, and then I think we're going to stop. I don't think there's much more interesting things to look at on this machine. There you go. So this little fan here was just like mounted on there. And I took it away and it's just a solid block. And then I was scratching it with my finger. That's what these marks are. There's this little fleck of metal here. I don't know what that's from. Obviously machining process at some point. So yeah, not super great. It does give me kind of flashbacks to the Monoprice MP400, a printer that sort of could deliver so much, but seems to champion disappointment in the highest regard. So it doesn't have print resume. We just took the power out and nothing even indicated that there was anything to do with it. So yeah, not super great, unfortunately. Print quality is quite good for a first print. It's not too bad at all. I'm pretty impressed with it, to be honest. I know you guys, some of you were not as impressed. Maybe your printers are better, but I think that's actually quite a good print. But I wouldn't be confident putting this hot end at 270 degrees, 75, like the manual suggests. I'm not sure how they're trying to get away without a heatsink. I guess there's just a lot of aluminium and they're just heating, seeking heat a bit more like naturally, like just around by chance rather than targeted cooling. It's nice that they've included drag chains. That's quite a decent thing. But the hot end design, as I said, is pretty average. Nice thick rods at the back. There was some indication somewhere of a ball screw that I saw online, but maybe that was a slightly different model of printer. This one does have a standard lead screw. All the motors though, NEMA 17s, which is about what you expect. I'd be very surprised if anything was different. The heated bed is really... It could be a lot better. There's no reason to have it 10mm thick. There's no flexible sheet, which is really essential for most printers, I think, nowadays, new onto the market. Printing tape is a solution from 8 years ago, which I believe nobody uses anymore, or nobody would need to use unless on an extremely, extremely low budget. No auto bed leveling is a kind of disappointing factor. But we don't know exactly the price point of this machine either, so it's not the worst thing that it isn't there. Because the bed is fairly flat. I don't know exactly how flat, but it seems like it's been flat. It was very easy to level, although I'm not sure the leveling screw would hold up for very long. But we can adjust the Z height as well with another screw at the back, so you could probably tune that and get that to somewhere where you wouldn't need to have any auto bed leveling anyway. Touchscreen was really nice and responsive. That's actually quite nice. I did like that. It was quite easy to use. The interface was not that intuitive. Like some of the labeling and wording could have been better, and there was maybe a little bit more button pressing than was necessary. But overall, the way it kind of functioned was actually pretty good. The power supply was no name brand and didn't even have the wattage marked on it. So we found 350 watts online, but that could be very different to the rest of the printer. Well, that could be very different to what the printer actually is, given the number of differences we've seen between the online details and what we've actually physically received. The control board was a MingDa special board with A4988. Well, I saw one A4988 driver and the rest sounded like A4988 to me. So quite an old architecture in terms of the stepper drivers, but it did use a 32-bit STM controller. So a little bit strange one, that one. Quality of the electronics was a little bit hit and miss. The crimps looked a little bit over crimped, so could have damaged some wires. Not necessarily the best thing. The wiring seemed okay, but the power switch didn't have connectors for both the mains cables. It was only cutting one of the sides. So also, I believe that doesn't really meet standards in this country, so that's not great either. Other than that, all the kind of belts and kinematics and bearings we didn't have any problems with. The homing process all seemed to work fine first time. Looking in bed was kind of easy, if a little manual. Oh, and I've taken a big gouge out of my desk. That's not great. Well, it's a wooden desk. It's meant to take damage, so that's not the end of the world. The paint seems to be chipping off already, though, so that's not great. The spool holder looks like it would be really limiting. If you have small spools that can fit between the two steel rails, then that would work. But sitting them on top, I don't think it's going to. There's no bearing surface at all. So you might have to look at some modified solutions. You'd probably find a way to print something and adapt this to make it work. They are sheet metal, so you could probably drill them fairly easily, as long as you've got a decent drill bit and somewhere to clamp this down to. Other than that, I think that's about all we've got to say for today. Oh, yes, the heater on the bed, the wires are a little bit questionable. The only thing that's holding them on is the solder. Although the bed is only moving in one axis, well, it's always moving in one axis. It's only moving in Z, so the distance it moves for a single print is much less than it would on a Y-axis, like a typical bed slinger, as people say, like the Prusa Mark III, for example, or Formbot Raptor that I've had recently on the channel, or my extrudinator printer. All of those move the entire bed, so strain relief becomes a little bit more important as you're moving much greater distance per print. But still, just solder terminals, just the solder points as a way to mount the cable does seem a bit limiting, especially when they've gone to the effort of including this bizarre connector. So they've got like a full screwed, like that looks like a decent connector to me. I mean, I don't know the exact details, but that looks far better engineered than the other end of it that's just soldered on. So I think that's going to be it for my first impressions of this printer today. I will be changing the title and stuff to reflect that we now know what it is. It's the MingDa MD-16. So if you see a different title and thumbnail that you were expecting from what we did today, then that could be a bit weird. But there you go. I think that's going to be it for me. Hopefully that's a decent enough summary for those of you that were interested to hear my thoughts on it. Obviously this has only been my first impressions. I had no time other than what you've seen in this live stream, so there wouldn't be anything else to interpret or infer from anything that you've not seen, because there isn't anything that you've not seen. This has been everything. Hopefully that's going to be useful for some of you that have maybe found it online and were considering it, and hopefully we can provide some great feedback to MingDa and they can improve the product and make us something that's going to be really excellent, like upgrades to the control board, maybe to the hot end. Make sure it's a specifically all metal design, and I think you'd be quite a long way to a really good machine. And the bed. Those are quite a lot of changes, but you never know. If they're looking to compete with the likes of Creality and Prusa and selling many, many printers, then hopefully they'll do what it takes to make a great machine. So, wonderful. thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for all sticking around. It was great to do it on a Friday evening. Don't normally do these, so I've really enjoyed it. Been a nice relaxing evening, apart from the kind of stressful start and the very heavy box to deal with. But other than that, it has been good fun. So, good. Wonderful. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Oh, well, I'll see you on Sunday. Sunday will be the Caribou stream, which is this printed that's half built behind me. Caribou Mark III. There's a couple of parts on there already, like on my channel. You can go watch those first and catch up before Sunday. Right. Anyway, now